Worcester. Hello to you, Ms. Worcester. Thank you for joining us on the programme this afternoon. Your reaction to today's news from Stockholm?
Well, I think it's very worrying, because this is the third time that they have reopened the investigation. Basically, back in 2010, the Stockholm prosecutor said there was no case, there was no crime, and there was certainly no rape. And then all the time that Julian was in the embassy, he was willing to speak. He was never in the embassy evading speaking to the Swedes. And then again in 2016, because of pressure from the Swedish courts, and actually undermining the pressure, which was the UK, which was saying, Sweden, don't come over to the UK. They all wanted Julian to go to Sweden, because Sweden has got a record of sending people on to the US if the US asks for extradition. So why on earth are they opening it for the third time, when back in 2016, after 6 months, it was dropped again because there's no case?
Yeah, although I suppose we heard in some detail what the Swedish authorities, Swedish prosecutors were saying today. They said that basically he'd run down the clock on one of the serious sexual assault claims, but not to do with rape. And as a result, they feel that case, he does have a case to answer as far as that is concerned. If he is innocent, and he feels that he is, surely he should go to Sweden to face the allegations that are being put to him, rather than hiding in an embassy for very many years here in London.
He has not been hiding. How can you say hiding? Everybody knows he's in there. Basically, he said to Sweden, I will come to Sweden, but you just have to guarantee that you're not going to extradite me to the US. And they refused to guarantee that. What does that mean? That means they were going to extradite him to the US. So of course he's saying, well, you can't move me from the Ecuadorian embassy. So what he was constantly saying is, for goodness sake, actually investigate this, and there wouldn't be a charge. Because don't forget, the girls said, and I'll quote, they did not want to put any charges on Julian Assange. These are the girls that apparently everybody keeps on saying he raped or molested. But that the police were keen on getting a grip on him, end quote. And the girls only wanted him to take an STD test, an AIDS test. They just wanted to make sure that everything was okay, because basically they had consensual sex with him. All they wanted was for him to have a test. He said that he would, but by the time that he kind of went along and planned to do that, they'd gone to the police because they put pressure on him. You know, any guy would say, don't make me have a test. I haven't got any diseases, for goodness sake. So that's all he said. But then he was prepared to, but it was too late. And the police, and this is what one of the girls said, it was the police who made up the charges. And also she told a friend that she had been railroaded by the police and others around her from these allegations. So basically, we've all got to remember that he wants to clear his name as much as anything. Those girls also want to have the truth, that there was no rape, there was no molestation. It's all been exaggerated.
Okay, why? If it's such an open and shut case, with respect, Tracy, if it's such an open and shut case, why doesn't he go and defend himself?
He's offered to defend himself, but if you're going to a country that has a reputation and an absolute proof cases where they just extradite people to the USA, he needs to be in a country which does not.
He has a case to answer in the USA as well, does he not?
No, he does not. Basically, what you as a journalist, you should see him as a hero. This guy wants the truth. He wants transparency. He wants free speech. That's what we all need. Our media is basically bought by big business, by big banks, and they are state stooges. What we need is an avenue for whistleblowers to put their information that they're not going to be exposed. And that's all Julian was doing, was actually trying to help Manning to find a way to Chelsea Manning, to basically get his information without his name being exposed. That's what the responsibility of every journalist is to help, or every media outlet is to help their journalist, their whistleblower, not be exposed.
Okay, so if there's no case against him in the US, why isn't he willing to do that as well? Why isn't he willing to go to the United States if there's no case against him, if there's not enough evidence against him?
You really think that he's going to have a fair trial in the USA when those USA wallers have been saying they want him executed, they want him in jail for the rest of his life? He'll have some secret military court. He will basically disappear forever.
The charge against him is carries a maximum term of 5 years in the US.
That's very clever of him and them, and a bit gullible of anybody who believes that. It's still very associated with espionage. So when he arrives in America, they will pile on more charges. And this allows, the way they've worded it, allows them to put more charges on. So he cannot, whatever happens, go to the US. We must make sure that we write to our MPs and we make them accountable to the facts. It's very scary how a lot of these MPs are actually not aware of the facts. And a lot of them are perfectly honest if they knew that he must not go to the US. And we must vote for Corbyn, because Corbyn would not allow him to go to the US. He has stated that, whereas the Tories are basically sycophants to the US agenda of global hegemony. And we are reaping and pillaging people's resources in their countries. That's why we're in continual war. And what Julian has done is reveal the corruption, the fraud, the basically lies that our government have been spinning behind these terrible wars.
Good to talk to you. Thanks very much indeed.